Alright everyone, welcome back. First and foremost, I want to give a huge shout out to a YouTube channel called Manga. He's currently doing a series on Death Note. I watched the first two exhausting Death Note analysis videos. This one is about the OVAs. The other two are quite lengthy. It's probably going to take you about a day or two to watch through them, maybe a little bit longer. He's about to hit 10,000 subscribers, so let's get him to 10,000. He does an excellent job making these. Now, he doesn't only do Death Note videos, which was very upsetting to me personally, but I haven't seen this one yet. I thought that the first two videos were remarkable, certainly some of the best Death Note analysis videos on YouTube, and but he did certainly say some things at the end of part 2 that I kind of wanted to get my opinions out there as well on all this. I would go through the first two, but those are way too fucking long. Yeah, apparently he doesn't really like the OVAs, and he has some strong opinions about that. I do as well. Also, I do want to know, did he misspell OVAs? Is there supposed to be a comma right there? Oh no, I can't tell. Well, if so, then there you go.
Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Manga and welcome to part 3 of my complete retrospective towards Death Note, in a video that will be much shorter than the others. There's no punchline here, this video will actually be quite short, thank God. In the last part, I briefly told you all about there being two OVAs that tried—
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the last two ones were quite lengthy. It's going to take you at least a day, 2 days, a few days to watch through all of them, but he certainly put in the time and effort to make these. He did a fantastic job, man. And of course, the link to his channel will be down in the description comment section.
their hand in adapting the Death Note storylines, with these films being made with a more specific goal in mind, to give a shortened and abridged version of the events so that newcomers can come in and get a firm idea of what the story is, without having to go and either read 108 chapters or watch 37 episodes. Yes, because heaven forbid a fan actually give the franchise they supposedly like the time of day to give their most beloved IP an honest shot. And if you remember that slight jab I made towards these two movies in the last video, you would know that I don't tend to hold these movies in very high regard. And to explain why, let's just dive right in and go over the first film.
Yeah, okay, good. Now that we're getting into it, yeah. But here's the thing, I think they're perfectly fine. I think that they are great as far as being Death Note movies, if you would. Yeah, they're just shortened down, condensed versions of the anime, but we can get into all of that as we go through this. I have absolutely no problem with them, and y'all know how much I love Death Note.
Film Death Note Relight 1 Visions of a God. This OVA acts as an abbreviated version of the L Saga, beginning with the new Shinigami going to Ryuk to learn about the human he had been with during his time on Earth. As like Ryuk, this strange figure finds the Shinigami realm extremely boring. I also gotta say I do really like the design of Ryuk here, just the fact that his eyes are gone, just— man, how many years have passed? After receiving and accepting the mysterious guy's offering of a shitty apple, Ryuk then proceeds with the tale. And what ensues is an OVA that cuts down and abbreviates the entire L arc.
You know, I never really thought about it, because I just kind of always assumed that it was just like a short time. I mean, maybe even just like a few years or 10 years later. But no, that is a good question, because like, seriously, for all we know, that could be hundreds of years in the future. It's just something to think about.
Arc, a 25 episode saga, into just over 2 hours. It went about as well as you'd expect. I think the best way to describe the end result of trying to condense such a story—
I mean, to be fair, I would have expected much worse.
Rich arc is that it's like somebody's attempt to retell you the story of Death Note years after they last saw it. Like, the entire story is more like a hazy memory, rather than an accurate retelling. Some scenes are either taken out entirely or put into different contexts, or some of them are even new.
I would personally consider them just a nice little extra piece of content for Death Note fans in general.
new, completely original scenes
And
that were
then,
added in.
actually, yeah, I mean, I was just about to say that, and there are also the new scenes that are added, and there's only one that I personally have some criticism for, but all the rest of them I absolutely love. They're a great addition to Death Note.
Into what I can guess was to fix up the pacing of the film into something more streamlined. But because it doesn't have the room that the anime had to pace out the plot, the attempts to make this film have a steady pace completely fails. Some scenes are the exact same length as they were in the show, while others are...
You know, one thing that I personally like to do is, like, let's say that a new episode of South Park drops. The fuck did I just say? Let's say that a new episode of South Park drops, right? After I watch it, I actually like to go onto YouTube or something and just watch like recaps or something on it, or I'll like watch like a certain scenes again. I mean, that's the same way that I view these two OVAs. I mean, they are OVAs after all. I mean, I just don't really think that there's any real criticism that you can give to them. I mean, if you don't like it, you don't like it, and that's fine. But I mean, also, like I said, right, like it's just a really good little piece of extra content for the people who just finished watching the anime. At least that's the way that I view it, because I always watch them after I watch, well, not always, but usually, or at least half the time, after I finish watching the anime, all 37 episodes, I'll go watch the OVAs next.
cut drastically short or changed up slightly in order to make the film hit its deadline, resulting in the movie both going at the speed of sound and then going to a crawl in almost an instant. And let me tell you, when I say that they took out a lot of scenes that were pretty important to the story, they took out a lot of scenes. Some of these include Light testing and hiding the Death Note, the task force quitting the Kira case, the bus death in episode 4, Rem telling Misa not to tell anyone about killing Shinigami, the investigation in the town, Elle stealing Misa's phone after Light tries to call her, the tennis match, I do not forgive them for this one in particular because way to show how scrambled your priorities were, you fucking hack. Light thinking he was Kira and volunteering to be meeting at his dad being detained and then pretending to shoot him to prove his innocence doesn't happen. Light's bait and switch plan with the Death Note, Aizawa quitting the investigation, Light killing Higuchi with a piece of the Death Note, the foot massage, one of the most pivotal and important scenes in all of fiction. Again, priorities. Light's evil face when was dying, and Light getting the notebook from Rem's corpse when she was done writing Elle's name in the Death Note. All of these scenes, moments that I would argue were extremely crucial towards the story of Death Note and why it was so effective, are completely gone. Plot threads that were explained behind mountains of necessary context now have no weight or impact behind them here because there's little to no information. So with all this stuff missing, Relight attempts to fix up these very large...
Well, I mean, even with all that being said, right, I mean, it just goes back to what I said. I mean, it's certainly not something that you would show somebody that you're trying to get into Death Note for the first time. But it's not trying to be that either.
エルです。まだまだ暑い日が続きますね。でもクーラーの温度の下げすぎは体によくありません。必ず27度前後にして冷やしすぎないようにしてください。今夜は金曜特別ロードショーと題して皆さんお待ちかねデスノートリライト2 L を継ぐものをお送りいたします。昨年放送されたリライト原始する神の続編であり、私が死んだ後キラと私の後継者を名乗る人物が戦うお話だそうです。ここからは前作をご覧になっていない方のために私が内容をかいつまんでお話ししましょう。それじゃあ渡り、始めてくれ。
empty patches by changing up some certain plot points and putting certain bits of information, like I said before, in different contexts, such as Light being told of a second Kira by the task force. Instead of meeting Elle at his college, Light gets a phone call from him which leads him to an open theater where not only is the reveal of the second Kira shown, but is also the place where both Elle and Light meet for the first time, and Kira was instead impersonated by Elle, not Light. Quite a lot of information to change, but for this scene these changes are not the worst, if not a little bit strange. I guess the saving grace is that this scene's hilariously over-the-top path towards the theater, making you question just how much power Elle has over the Japanese government, is actually quite endearing, with the whole scene being exemplified with Elle doing the most Elle thing on the planet. God, fucking look at this little goblin. I love him so much. Also, Ryuka's there at the end.
I mean, say what you will about this scene, but you gotta admit that this is so in character for L. But it does it in a way that's never expressed throughout the entire anime. But just this one moment says everything about L. Like, you want to know who L is? That's who he is right fucking there. And to Light, that is the most intimidating thing in the entire fucking world. And a part of him wants to play this fucking game. So guess what he's doing?
Probably making a bad pun to amuse himself or something. And the second change is that instead of telling Light he thinks he's Kira around the time they first met in the original anime, L instead tells him his suspicions around the events of L stealing Misa's phone in the original anime.
Oh, I figure I'll be safe as long as you're not Kira. Oh, I'm sorry. I must have forgotten to tell you, but I currently suspect you of being Kira.
It loses a lot of the initial impact L had over Light since he just blurts this out of nowhere, but because the OVA cut the original scene out, I mean, what else were they gonna do? When the story isn't tripping over itself, trying to fix up the timeline it so recklessly destroyed, this OVA contains some brand new scenes that even sparked a little debate amongst the fans of the series. These include Ryuk talking to the new Shinigami that kicks off the story. This addition has sparked a small theory that the Shinigami that talks to Ryuk is actually Light, and this is him coming back from the dead.
So I wasn't going to bring it up, but since he brought it up, I'm gonna bring it up. That is certainly a popular theory. But here's the thing about that. If we're going to drift off into those sort of perspectives, I have an interesting perspective on this as well. I think that if this Shinigami is the reincarnation of a human being, I don't think it's Light. I think it's Beyond Birthday from the BB murder case. If you want to hear more about that, then go check out my anime channel.
In a weird way. But personally, this theory to me doesn't make much sense given the lore of the story, making it so that reincarnation isn't really a thing at all, even with the anime adaptation heavily leaning into the Christian stuff. However, the idea of Light being this immortal soul that kept on living after death does make him seem a lot more interesting. So while it doesn't make too much sense, I can see the appeal of that theory. An omnipresent Kira is quite an endearing one. Personally, I boiled this theory down into just being a cute little headcanon. Also, because it has goggles, it's more likely that it's Matt.
Yeah. And again, it's certainly not canon. Like, this was never in the manga whatsoever, even the original anime. But I think that if you want to hit canon that, it's perfectly fine. Like, even if you want to see that as Light, I mean, you can see that however you want. Or maybe it is its own unique Shinigami, and that is what is so cool about it to you. You know, it is like, however you want to view the scene, that is perfectly fine. It satisfies multiple audiences.
Can't prove me wrong. But the biggest scene to come out of this OVA was the ending. After Light kills L, the OVA actually shows a scene of the task force attending L's funeral, where Soichiro gives some kind parting words.
This scene is fucking disturbing, man. And like, this is not out of character for Light. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because for any of you out there who say that Light was actually a good person and he was just trying to do the right thing, even if maybe he did a few bad things. This guy right here, who is laughing and essentially having a fucking orgasm over L's grave? I mean, even Ryuk is like... I'm adding this to my abridged series because I think there's a punchline here somewhere with Ryuk, but fuck, this is the guy you worship? Really? He's a good guy? Yeah, okay. Alright, well, let me introduce you to my friend Hitler. I think y'all might have a lot of shit in common.
And Light stays behind so that he can be with L alone.
Oh, so, Leon, what you're saying is that if somebody came along and started killing all the criminals on the face of this planet, and you could stop them, you would? No, I never said that, but this guy is not that guy, I promise.
Then, when everyone is gone, and no more eyes are looking at him, Light does this.
Now
Everything that was in my way is gone. Everyone else still believes in me. It's only a matter of time before I get rid of the police. What do you think of that, Elle? This is my perfect victory! That's right! I win!
This scene has been one that I think has sparked one of the bigger debates in the show's fandom, with the big question being, was this scene in character? Some make the argument that Light wouldn't be one to let loose like that in a place where he could very easily be caught, and given his very restrained nature, Light freaking out like this seems like
I highly disagree. This is a dude who was having his Kira orgasms in his room while his mother and sister were right downstairs. That is not a valid argument. Plus, they're in the middle of a fucking graveyard with nobody around. And even if someone did come along, I mean, they're just going to see some random dude just fucking laughing over something. I mean, it's not a valid argument.
Something that would be very risky and even very stupid. It completely contradicts the way he's been acting for so long, especially when you keep the anime in mind. But personally, I'm on the other side of the fence, and think that this scene was actually completely in character for Light to do.
Oh, bet. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Yeah, no, this is absolutely Light Yagami. I mean, it is like what I was saying before. Like this is the perfect encapsulation of this character right here. Like, if you want to know what this dude is all about, there you go. This is not about justice.
Here's why I think that.
I promise you.
Despite having many moments of holding himself back, throughout the show, Light has been shown to be, when he knows he's all alone, to be a very emotional and expressive character. Despite his calm and restrained nature around people, whenever Light is alone and knows that nobody is watching him, that calm demeanor completely vanishes. From getting worked up over Elle challenging him in episode 2, to his outburst to Ryuk about Elle duping him in episode 9, Light has been shown to have this very expressive, explosive, and emotional side whenever something big happens to him. And given the fact that Light just killed Elle, the person who, as far as he knew, was his greatest opponent in a strategy that would make 4D chess look like checkers, having him react like this makes complete sense to me. At this moment, Light is under the impression that he is now invincible. As far as he knows, he has achieved his status as the god of the new world. Nothing and nobody could ever touch him the same way Elle did. Don't take that sentence out of context. Elle's death and his victory had allowed Light to finally revel in his own, well, light. A chance to gloat and feel unstoppable with nothing to hold him back. So having him go as far as to defile Elle's grave, something that probably would have gotten him caught, in this quick episode of madness, seems like something he would definitely do. But I don't know, tell me your opinion in the comments, I'm interested to hear them.
I will say, despite all the criticisms that I've had, and again, I actually really love the first two parts of this, but I went into this knowing exactly what I was getting into. But I absolutely appreciate him for mentioning that scene and actually going that in depth with it, because I think that is something that is super overlooked.
Found the scene after this to be another great addition, as not only are the kills still very brutal, but the idea of Light being close to the scene of his crimes is a much better way to show off his descent into tyrannical madness, a lot more impactful than the anime's ending of the L arc. Sure, I do love myself some weird symbolism as much as the next guy, but thinking about Light always being close by during some of the most horrific deaths, like he's just fucking with people now that L isn't around to suss him out, is just way more sinister and terrifying. It's almost like Lovecraftian levels of fucking with humanity. If you know Nyarlathotep, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Also, that last shot of Light's reflection is just... it's really fucking cool. Not to mention that the ending scene with Ryuk wishing the Shinigami luck in his pursuit of finding entertainment in the human world was a nice way to wrap up this almost retelling of a story, with Ryuk even referring to Light not as a god, but something else entirely.
No, Light, you weren't actually a god back then. You were something else.
The idea that Light's story is probably not going to be the last time this kind of thing happens, and the notion that there are Shinigami in their realm going down to Earth to get their own stories after being inspired by Ryuk, is just such a daunting but cool idea that I wished more adaptations dived into, because the way different Kiras could spawn up and have their own motives as to why they kill people is such an awesome concept to think about. It's insane to think about the level of potential.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you could... Okay, so here's the thing. We have examples of that. And I'm not against that whatsoever. I just feel like if you're going to do that, you have to do it right. Right? Like, I mean, you can hand any fucking random character that you make up a fucking Death Note. Right? But, like, let's not just start telling any story just because someone has a fucking Death Note. Right? It's just... It's one of those... It's one of those kind of things where, like, the concept itself can work perfectly fine. It's just, like, you have to make sure that the character that you're writing, like, is this Death Note or is this not Death Note? Right? It is, like, tell some sort of story that exceeds expectation. That is one reason why I like the most recent canon manga short that came out. The one with the kid who got it, but he didn't use it to kill anyone. He sold it off to the highest bidder, and then gave the money to all of the locals in the area, and then erased his memories of the Death Note. That way, he didn't even know that he did it. He could never be caught. Right? It is like that is a fascinating concept for Death Note. Right? Like, Death Note doesn't always have to be like somebody gets the fucking notebook and wants to fucking kill all the criminals in the world or something. It is like, no, let's tell of a situation that was so unique that it is actually worth talking about.
Potential the world building of Death Note has. Like, there's so much to this world that could just be utilized, but people just don't want to do it.
Oh, you want to talk about some interesting world building? Has a lot of extra lore that you can get into. Y'all can check out something called the Los Angeles BB Murder Case. There's a really good audiobook of it. In fact, I'll actually leave it in the description as well. It is a really, really good audiobook. Dude did a phenomenal job on it. I've probably listened to it like 20 plus times by now. I love it so much. It is a part of me wants to say that I love it just as much, if not more, than the anime itself. That is how good it is, in my opinion. It is such an interest. Now that is under the, like, you'll only agree with me under the assumption that you just love L as a character and you just want to know more about him. But this was the biggest case that he took on before the Kira case. It is a direct prequel. It is connected to a Naomi Misuda, right? And it is that case that she went on that was only brought up once by L in the anime. It's that case right there. And I'm not going to give any major spoilers for it, but if you want to hear me going deeper about that, man, just go over to my anime channel. It is a phenomenal piece of Death Note material that is terribly underrated. It is fascinating, especially if you're into like the whole like interesting characters and their psychology type of things, and if you like really like the detective aspect of things, like it's fascinating, man. It is really fascinating. Go check it out. Just listen to the audiobook first.
Come on guys, get creative. But moving on to the next OVA, L's Successors, this one of course tackles the Nier arc, a saga that was only 12 episodes long in the original show, condensing the story down to just over 85 minutes. And you'd think that with less material to cover, this film would do a better job than the first OVA, but...
I'm sure that you all remember Relight, Visions of a God. What's it about, you ask? It's the story of the battle between Kira and those who carried on my name and mission after my death.
Fuck off!
You would be wrong. Like the last movie, L's Successors acts as a retelling of the story that this time has L and then Watari being the narrators of the movie's plot. This OVA is where the studio finally makes their intentions about the OVAs very clear.
It was created for those who haven't seen the original series.
So in case any of you thought I was lying, there you go. But in typical OVA fashion, this film did about as well of a job as the first movie, which is to say, not very well at all. L's Successors once again added some new scenes that were not from the original show, that admittedly are quite interesting, but like the last movie, have also taken out scenes that were very important to the story, a story that was already a shaky adaptation of
They are, and not that it's too relevant to anybody but me, but they're also very, very beautiful in terms of just the actual aesthetic and animation. The animators did a phenomenal job. They really, really did. 420 out of 10.
The manga at best. Since the number of these is smaller this time around, let me show you the scenes from the original anime that the OVA cut out. I'm not going to use the manga because, oh boy, that's a whole rabbit hole I'm not going into again. The whole storyline of Sayu getting kidnapped is completely scrapped. Yes, I'm not making that up. Because Sayu never gets kidnapped, Melo's gang is not a thing, Sido is never there to tell him that the 13-day rule is bullshit and gets back his Death Note, the task force never made the deal to get Sayu back, the police never raid the gang's hideout, Melo's name isn't found out through that, and above all, Soichiro doesn't die an honorable death, but dies off-screen. That's the fucking beginning. Takeda and Misa, who have a dinner after Misa attacks Takeda and Takeda wants to put Misa in her place, still happens in the OVA, but rather than having any kind of build-up, is just a random occurrence, making the scene feel almost pointless. If only to show that Takeda was promised by Light that she would become the goddess of his new world. Because okay, like, why would this scene be in here? Matt's death, something that happened in the anime, is gone as well. While admittedly he was pretty much gone from the anime anyway, so erasing him altogether doesn't really change much, the issue is that this also means that Melo's whole story of suspecting Misa as being the second Kira never happens. It also means that the kidnapping of Takeda raises questions because Melo is just suddenly back and has someone working for him.
I completely understand how somebody can say that taking Matt out of Death Note altogether would make no difference. I mean, first of all, that's not true because he did do some stuff, but like, I get what they mean. But personally, I would have loved to have had him more on screen as well, because it's fascinating to think, right? But I think that that's kind of the point.
For him for an unexplained reason. Who is this guy and why is he working with Melo? My headcanon for this series of events is that Matt decided to prank the crowd with a smoke bomb, Melo saw this and went, "Whoa, how convenient, let me swoop in and get Takeda, yoink." I can't, that was a fucking terrible impression. It also makes you question
Okay, cool. I just wanted to look that up to make sure I wasn't fucking tripping or like somehow fucking Mandela affecting myself. Yeah, no, Matt's from the Whammy's house. What do you mean, why is he there?
why Hal tells Takeda to go with him, because the last time these two met, Melo was putting a gun to her head. So Hal just looks really fucking stupid here. My god, did the anime fucking butcher these two. The Sakura TV spokesperson scene and the riot of the SBK building, scenes that illustrated the negative impacts of Kira, were also taken out of the story, which is, yeah, it's a bit of a shame, since these scenes definitely helped show that the world was starting to go mad from Kira's reign, but I guess that story wasn't important to the OVA. And one thing that I would say is the most insulting thing that the OVA took out was Aizawa's entire story, figuring out that Light was Kira and contacting Nier about it, making Nier's suspicions of him all the more concrete. Case in point, fucking bullshit, justice for Aizawa. So, like the last film, these scenes, ones that were very important to the story, were taken out and caused the plot to be even more of a shaken up mess. And that's not even getting into the changes this OVA had to make in order to make this plot work, because oh fucking boy did a lot have to be rewritten. Because the whole plotline of Sayu being kidnapped by Melo, leading to him getting the Death Note and the boys having to get back at the cost of Soichiro's life is now completely gone, the OVA had to make a lot of big changes to future points in the story. But, admittedly, I'll give the OVA this newly animated scene of the SBK members dying and having Light ask Nier if he's okay while Nier is drenched in the blood of one of his members is admittedly a very cool and brutal scene.
Yeah, isn't it though? That scene is fucking crazy, dude. Light is an actual fucking psychopath, man.
It's a rather nice change from the source material that still allows Light to be seen as a threat and also show how battle-hardened Nier is as well. It's not too bad. However, despite the changes being mostly—
yeah, look, Nier haters can say whatever they want about Nier, dude. But that scene right there, like, come on, man. Come on. Like, y'all say that he's just like an L clone or this or that. No, all the kids from the Whammy house are very fucking unique. The one thing that they have in common is that they were all groomed to be the next L. So essentially that was like God to them. You know, these characters are fascinating, dude.
Fine and even arguably effective so far, this drastic change to the beginning of the story falls apart immediately after, because it makes it so that Mello going in and talking to Nier while he held one of his teammates hostage lose a lot of its original punch. Because number one, Mello suddenly shows up with a mysterious scar that people who have only seen this OVA will have no idea how he got it. 2, he for some reason knows about the 13-day rule and the fact that lots of Nier's task force have been murdered, which I can only guess in this continuity he got out of Hal, which is honestly a very weird thing to ask even for him. And 3, Nier thanking him for the information, something that made sense in the manga and even in the anime, makes no sense here because this is Mello's first ever appearance since he left at the start of the movie.
Thank you for that, Mello.
What was that?
You filled in the missing pieces. In the end, what saved me was the information you provided.
What missing pieces are you talking about? Mello's main contribution to the Kira case before was completely skipped over, to a point where Nier has already figured out that the 13-day rule is bullshit by himself, with his reasoning being very flimsy, let's be honest.
Did you know?
Hey, yo, what the?
He is a character that just gets done so dirty in this whole story, and trust me, the way other people will treat Mello in other adaptations, like I said in the anime video, is not any better. It's only going to get worse. I'm sorry to the few of you that are a fan of him, because a lot of this retrospective—
Oh no, don't be sorry for me for being a fan of his. I'm perfectly fine with my decision here. Though I will say, I like the way that they did it in the Death Note Japanese drama series. Because for those of you who don't know, and look, big spoilers for that, like just skip ahead, like if you don't want to hear about it, but, or if you've never even heard about the show, I'd certainly go watch it, just don't listen to the spoiler. But anyway, check this out, right? They turned Mello and Nier into one character. Now hear me out, before you think that is stupid, that was originally how it was intended. The original manga artist originally wanted them to be one character. It was never supposed to be two different characters. But then they decided to create two different characters out of this idea. And it's fascinating because he's like this weird schizophrenic that has two personalities inside of his head. Dude, like, just hear me out. Death Note fans, come on, hear me out.
One of the other changes they made, and one that was actually okay, was how Mello died. In the original, Mello's name was figured out in episode 29 during the police raid of his HQ, and the reason Light didn't kill him was because it would make him look suspicious. So because of that, he relied on Takeda to do the killing for him when she was kidnapped by Mello. However, because the OVA never had this plot point, the OVA instead shows a shot of Takeda having red eyes, which, if I was to theorize, means that she could have possibly made the eye deal to get his name. How she knew about it is suspicious.
Yeah, see, that's a plot point that even I don't understand. Because every source that I look up says something different. I don't, like in any version, I don't understand how Mello died. I get what is being implied in so many areas, but first of all, how would she know his name, right? Well, okay, Light told her. How the fuck does he know Mello's fucking name? Right? And then it's like, oh, well, she had the eyes of a Shinigami. And it's like, okay, well, that would probably make the most sense. But then you look up another source and it's like, no, she never had the eyes of the Shinigami. And it's like, what? Nobody, I don't think anybody really fucking knows exactly how she got his name. And again, like, there's even sources that I've read that she wasn't even the one who killed him. I just don't understand what is going on in this scene. I don't fucking understand it.
or about the Shinigami eyes, hell even about Shinigami at all in the scenes we saw them together, not to mention that Mikami was helping her kill people by contacting her through cell phone, but regardless, it was at least an attempt to fix that potential plot hole. And while yes, it could just be a whole thing that Light or Mikami told Takeda Mello's name off screen, that's entirely a possibility. I find the idea that Takeda doing the deal in a last-ditch effort to free herself and killing Mello is an idea that is honestly very compelling. There's not much good shit in this stuff, like please, just let me have this please. But after all these changes, we get to the new stuff. The new scenes that were added into the OVA, which honestly are all quite good in their own respective rights. And these scenes are the following. Nier thinking about the case while knocking down thousands of dominoes. Not only does this scene do great at doing the old symbolism Death Note has a great knack for doing, even showing visually how light—
Yeah, that scene is gorgeous, man. And on top of being such a gorgeous fucking scene, man, it says so much about Nier psychology, dude. Like, who the fuck does this? Like, who is this kid? Right? Like, if you had no context, it is like, like you were in the face of an absolute mad genius. It is fucking incredible, man. But yet people want to say that Nier is such a bad character, or that he's just an L copycat. No, I just don't think you understand the characters that are being presented to you whatsoever.
It was going to be very hard to catch if Nier messes up even once. This also did a good job at showing how Nier has the logical side of L to a T. Nier is able to figure stuff out in ways that no normal person could, and makes it so that a lot of the information from the anime can be condensed into just one scene. It's a narratively and visually compelling scene that was a very nice addition. Inside this additional change is also the famous scene of L talking to the Whammy House foster kids, and the iconic speech he gives when he asks about what he's afraid of.
Oh, and by the way, just for all of you still out there who want to be like, well, Nier's still just an L copycat. Okay, one of the first things that we ever see Nier doing is putting together a white puzzle. Yeah, okay, so I don't want to fucking hear it no more.
Copyright is an absolute bitch, and there is no way I'd be able to play the whole speech without getting my balls blown off. He was a guy who was willing to toe the line of morality and even go into the illegal if it meant he could get a—
Oh, he was willing to go into the realms of illegal. Oh, I'm sorry, what would you do if you called someone who you knew for a fact was the second fucking Kira? I'm sorry, I'm about to fucking strap them down to this fucking thing too in another room while I talk to them through a fucking intercom. Because at this point, you've proven to me that if you see my face, I'll fucking die. I'm sorry, what the fuck else would you do? Fucking big galaxy brain genius?
Confession out of Light and win the game against him. While yes, he does say that he'll put Kira to justice a good few times, are we just forgetting the whole scene where this fucker was sad and depressed because he couldn't get Light to confess after being shown—
Well, yeah! The dude that you know is Kira and is constantly intellectually taunting you, for some reason, is just a totally different person now. Like not even just as like an act, I mean, we as the audience know that he lost his memories, but L doesn't understand what is going on. You would be depressed too. like you would be so confused. Because it's like, no, I know you're Kira, but why are you not Kira right now? Right? Because, like, he has no way of knowing that he just lost his memories. Right? So really look at it from his perspective. You would be depressed too, sitting there eating cake on a fucking couch with this dude handcuffed to you. Come on now. Let's be fucking real here.
And from being raised in the Whammy House all his life, where people are trained to become L and lose their names in the process, his entire line of thinking is about lying to get what he wants, lying so that he can get answers, lying so that he can win whatever game he's playing or solve any puzzle he's trying to piece together. From his upbringing and his outlook on life, L is a monster through and through, and the only reason he's not considered one from my perspective is that he decided to use his talents and ego into catching criminals. In a way, L isn't that different to Light. Hell, I'd argue he's worse than Light in some regards. But the only reason he's thought to be the quote-unquote good guy in the story is because he does what society deems to be good. L does a lot.
No, I think that seeing L as like, I mean, I think an argument could be made that L is the good guy in the story, and that he is a really, really good person. But I don't think that that is the idea that the creator had in mind, like a good versus evil story. I don't think that's what we're watching here. So I guess take from that what you will.
A lot of bad and awful shit in the story, but because it led to good results, he's somehow justified, and his actions can even be explained away because it's for the greater good. Doing some bad things because it could lead to some good results that can change the future for the better?
Yeah, but I mean, really, what bad did L do? Like, one example is that he let Lyndell Taylor die. You mean the dude who was on death row that was scheduled to die right about now? Who agreed to this, by the way? Because imagine if he didn't die, right? L probably gave him a fucking deal. If somehow you don't die, you just get to fucking live, dude.
All of the faces, even the faces of those who support Kira, are hidden by a tainted glass sheet in order to protect the identities of the people in the debate. Kira is so dangerous and unpredictable that even his followers have to be careful showing their faces, having to cover up even when they support him. It's not exactly subtle, but I still find it compelling. Once the debate gets very heated, an anti-Kira debater suddenly gets controlled by the Death Note, shatters the glass protecting the people's faces, and in a matter of seconds, all hell breaks loose.
Stop the broadcast! What are you doing?
I'm sorry, but why did it look like that dude's neck just broke? What is that? The Death Note don't break necks. The fuck? What? Animators, you should feel absolutely ashamed of yourself right now for that.
Aside from this death breaking one of the rules in the Death Note where it states that the death—
Oh my god, did I not just fucking bring that? Yeah, that is so— I never even noticed that. I never fucking noticed that till right fucking— yeah, ain't that fucking stupid. So apparently I can just fucking take my Death Note and just be like, motherfucker's neck gets broke. Crick! The fuck? That ain't how that shit works. That's so fucking dumb, dude.
has to be plausible, and I've yet to see any person be able to do this kind of shit to themselves. This scene was still incredibly brutal to watch. The absolute pandemonium of people scrambling for their lives, Mikami reveling in killing what he deems are the heretics, and the way that everybody is dropping like flies, from the anti-Kira people, the pro-Kira people, and even those who were merely filming the debate impartially, was a scene that perfectly illustrated just how far Light has fallen as the god of the new world. Light has gone from killing criminals specifically to allowing his followers to kill those who merely oppose and challenge his ideas. His once righteous and virtuous motivation has now been twisted into a sinister and sadistic power fantasy, making the whole world terrified of merely stepping out of line. It was a fantastic scene that allowed us to see the true colors of Light start to come out, slowly and steadily. One thing I'm always going to give each adaptation is that they just always find a really creative way to show just how fucked up Light is. It's really, really good shit, because after all, the first person that Kira killed was Light Yagami. But aside from these very big scenes, the other additions are just fun little add-ons, like Light checking outside his door when he meets up with Takeda thinking that someone is watching him because he's a whore, Light talking to Ryuk about Nier after he calls him and accuses him of being Kira, Mikami having a conversation with Ryuk that shows just how much of a psychopath he is deep down, and Light doing a little bit of research into Mello and Nier. All of these scenes are ones that make the OVA into more of its own thing, and while I will give it credit for that, it does not save this film from being an even more watered down version of the original Nier arc, which is to say, it's a bit disappointing. So to conclude, aside from a few interesting changes and a handful of very good scenes, watching these two OVAs was all around very underwhelming. Originally I thought that my negative views towards these movies was because I watched these right after finishing the anime, which given that I was basically watching everything again, that certainly might have soured my experience back then. Because yes, you can watch Peak over and over all you like, but experiencing it over and over back to back will get old no matter how much you like it. I even experienced that slightly when just covering the anime, but upon watching them again to
Look, I totally get it, the whole argument of you watch something so much that it loses all value to. Look, I get it, but let me tell you something. South Park and Death Note are something that I can watch over and over and over and over again and love it and love it and love it, and I never fall out of love with them. Because I'm genuinely in love with these two shows. I have watched Death Note more times than I can count. I have literally went fucking years and years and years and years, okay, watching it every single day. Every single day. I love Death Note. To this day, I'm still hyper obsessed over it. Why do you think it is one of the main two categories that I talk about on my anime channel? I love Death Note so much, man. Death Note is my #1 favorite anime of all time.
freshen up my mind to write up this analysis, these OVAs just aren't good retellings of the original story. To anyone that wishes to experience the story of Death Note, these OVAs are not the way to do it, despite what they may tell you. Fundamentally, they are just way too different. If you want to get into Death Note, put on your big boy pants and watch the anime or read the manga, skip these two movies, and just watch the small original scenes in your own time.
Or, and just hear me out, it's not like I didn't already say this, or watch the two OVAs after you've already watched the first, or after you've already watched the series. Come on now. Like I said, I wouldn't show this to someone for their first time of watching Death Note. That'd be stupid.
If you don't want to scour the 7 seas, you can certainly find them on YouTube. You don't even have to watch these scenes in the context of the films, they serve perfectly fine on their own. And with that biting critique, I don't really like these OVAs. All in all, I wasn't impressed. So, with my thoughts on the OVA done and dusted, and we can finally move on from the original storyline, thank fucking goodness, it's time we get into the other adaptations, with the more obscure media, the ones that you might have heard in passing and just never paid any mind to. The most popular of these more obscure Death Note medias.
Okay, hold on. I hope that he's about to get into what I think he's about to get into. And again, I do just want to say, just for a full clarification, I love this dude's channel. Highly recommend subscribing to him. His first 2 parts I fucking love so much, and I'm certainly going to add them to like my sleeping playlist, and you know, just like it'll be something that I return to. I think he did a fantastic job. I know that I have a lot of disagreements with him whenever it comes to the OVAs, but I hope to God that he's about to start talking about like the live action Death Note, the fucking a Japanese drama series, the fucking mangas, the one shots and everything. Like I hope that he's like about to really get into it, because if he starts to go over all that, dude, I'm gonna be so happy.
Besides this one, I'm not doing this just yet, are the Japanese live-action movies that were both...
Alright, that is a perfect start. That is a perfect fucking start, but let me tell y'all something. Death Note fans, if you think you're a big Death Note fan, check this out. I have some information for you that you're going to love. Okay, so a lot of people know about these 2 movies, right? Okay, now, lesser people, but most people, right, know that there's a 3rd movie, right? Because it's L Changed the World, right? Well, what a lot of people don't know is that there's actually a 4th movie. Yes, a direct continuation, not a direct continuation, but it is a continuation of L Changed the World. It is this exact same story. It is a 4-parter, not a 3-parter. It isn't a trilogy. Now, before that, they actually made a little mini-series with a few episodes that gives context in between that time period. And I would highly recommend looking it up, man. There is no English dub for it, unfortunately, but you can read like English subtitles if you want to. But I'm happy that he's at least getting into these. But dude, I'm telling you, man, just go watch the rest of it. It is so fucking cool if you're already into this version of Death Note. I love these live action movies, man. Now, Netflix's, we can talk about that another time.
Released in 2006 in Japan, merely months apart from each other, and released worldwide in 2008, movies that were actually made before the anime was ever released. These films were both directed by Shusuke Kaneko, and were movies that tell the entire story of the L Saga in just over 5 hours. Yes, you heard that right. 2 movies, the whole L Saga, 5 hours. I was scared going into these, I'll be completely honest with you. What I was expecting out of these movies was an absolute dumpster fire. 2 movies that would try cram so much shit from the original story into a short.
You know, for a second, like my heart was almost broken because I thought he was about to go in the other direction and say he hated them. I was about to say, oh well, no, we're about to really get into this whenever you drop those videos, aren't we?
Runtime, and my expectations were that even if it was bad, it was going to be a so bad it's good kind of bad. So even if the films are objective dog shit, I would at least get some enjoyment out of it. But then after I watched these 2 movies, let's just say,
most faithful live adaptations of Death Note we've ever fucking gotten, right? Right?
I'm never going to judge a book by its cover ever again.
That's a bad phrasing. Don't say you won't judge a book by its cover, because if that's the case, man, God, I hope you never. Look, we're talking about Death Note, right? that was not. You could have phrased that differently, my friend.
Why is that? Well, that'll be for another time. And for now, my name is Manga Writer, and I'll see you in the next one.
Alright, so, I mean, yeah, man. I think I've said all that I really needed or wanted to say in all of this. There were certainly some more points that I could have gotten into. Nonetheless, if you want to watch the entire video for yourself, it'll be the top link above all the other links as usual. And again, if you're into content like this, I would certainly recommend subscribing to his channel. He's done a phenomenal job with these Death Note videos. I don't really watch the kind of other videos that he has on there, but I mean, as long as he's making Death Note videos or videos about something that I like, I'll certainly check it out. And again, if you haven't, I would certainly recommend checking him out, man. Again, link top description. Check it out. Go subscribe, man. Now, one more thing that I wanted to get into before we end everything off. I have a lot of opinions on Death Note, as y'all know. I don't really... I mean, obviously anybody can claim to be the biggest fan of something, and you can give like a multitude of reasons why you are and this and that. But I really do see myself as the #1 biggest Death Note in the entire I'm in the entire world. Because I've never met somebody who is as obsessed with it as me. Like, I get that there are like those hyper collectors that have like rooms of like every Death Note merchandise and this and that, but I mean, I don't care about any of that. That's not why I'm into that isn't what makes me happy with Death Note. I just want to sit there and be absorbed into that story over and over and over and over again and keep building on that world in my head. That is why I love Death Note so fucking much. Because Death Note is to me, it's something personal. It is something that I love. It is something that there is no element of it that I hate by any means. Regardless, for me, I've never experienced a more perfect anime. I love the story, I love the characters, I love the music, I love the way that the story is written, I love the concept, I love this expansion of all of the, or just this expansion of the entire world that they've built here. Like, there's nothing like this in anime whatsoever. Like, I've heard people say, oh, well, I mean, Code Geass is, like, similar. I mean, I've never seen it. I've seen bits and pieces, and I know what it's like, but it's not like this. Like, this is different. Like, this is like showing somebody the first 2 seasons of Attack on Titan. Or like, showing someone the first season of Attack on Titan. Like, this is different. This is a perfect gateway anime. This is an anime that really shows you what anime can truly be about if the artists really want to tell a good story. Not something about some dude who gets isekai'd into another world and has a harem of women, or some women with some big bouncy tits, or some other women with some big bouncy tits, but actually they're like some wizard that is actually like a 4,000-year-old cum vampire or something. Like, you know, it's like, it's fucking insane what has happened to the genre of anime. It really is, because so many good stories could be being told. Like, where's stuff like Hellsing or Hellsing Ultimate? Where's stuff like Death Note? Where's stuff like the first and arguably the second season of Attack on Titan? Right? It is like, I can only name maybe about 25 anime where I'm like, yep, that right there is the definition of anime, despite the fact that it literally is not. And that upsets me deeply. Instead of making all of these lazy-ass, formulaic, cookie-cutter anime with practically the same story over and over and over and over again, let's get fucking... like, every artist, throw your brush into this, because we're about to have some fucking fun. Right? And that is how you get something like Death Note.